Today is May 9th, all day.
Oh, we had that big snowstorm many years ago on May 9th. Broke all the trees. It was wild.
Don't need another one.
Like 46 years ago or?
No,
Well, there's one then also.
it was not that long ago, 46 now.
77, there was a big one.
Was it? Maybe. Life, you know.
Okay, anybody here from the Red Lion Inn?
Not that I see either. Who's on all I can see is the phone.
Hello?
Can you see that number? Is that a 7?
734.
Hi, this is the 734 number. This is Rachel Childers,
Okay, thank you.
not the Red Lion. Hello?
We just need to know who you are. Thank you.
Okay, sure, thanks.
All right. Rob, you're up now. Come forward, please. Yeah. Want to waste your whole evening, you could be last if you want.
Well, he does have a formal hearing in front of us.
Got here for various.
I'm here this evening representing Sarah Downey and Andre Norman for Old Stockbridge Road for the notice of intent for an intended crossing to reach the portion of the property.
This going over screen for,
Yes, it is a BVW. We're crossing the bordering vegetated wetland. We have large format drawings. I just do a quick color on 11 by 17 so folks could get a look at it.
We haven't done the minutes.
oh, wait,
Informal.
yeah, right
This
after.
is not informal. That's why I was a little surprised. You have me on the.
We have you
me
on the agenda for your informal stuff at the
Oh, this is
beginning.
322? This is on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Yes.
Yeah, this is on.
So do you want to wait on this and
Yeah.
discuss the informal stuff? Okay. Why
Whatever.
don't you do the minutes, then we can do informal.
Okay.
I don't want to upset
Minutes
your
of the
apple.
last meeting. Which I don't know where they are.
Well, you have a copy there.
Anyone had a chance to look at them, everyone?
Yep, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any opposition, any corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Quick and easy. Okay. So
Now?
Now.
might as well do it now. We got you on the way up here.
So so do you want to do Downey? You want to do, I just have a couple of quick informal things that shouldn't take long, and then we can do Downey. My guess is you want to do a site visit. I asked Sally to put me on the agenda for a couple of things informally. One is that prior to the pandemic, we began the process of a notice of intent for Hans and Kate Morris over on Cherry Hill for a repair to an impoundment, basically a dam for the agricultural pond that's on their property.
We
Pandemic.
were there way back.
Yeah. when they
Right.
were
You were there, so we weren't there for the pond, you were there for the intermittent, there was a swale, there's a BVW swale that goes behind the new
Yeah.
carriage house, right? So we've had a little activity over there. So we determined that that was all well and good and the carriage house is almost complete. We also did some work for the construction of the Morton building and that work's been complete. We started this process for the restoration of the pond because the pond is close to failing. There's a stone wall that borders Cherry Street, and then there's a concrete liner on the inside of it, which is cracked. And so my question, the informal portion of this evening is I cannot find in my notes or where this project stands within the purview of the Conservation Commission, meaning that, do you want me to resubmit this entire thing? We have notifications to abutters. Do you want to start the process all over again with this? We have a DEP file number. I don't know what.
I actually think if you start all over again, it might speed things up even.
Okay. All right. So I'm happy to dust this off, clean it up and resubmit and re-notify abutters.
If we got to go look and
Nope.
it'll probably put us off for,
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. All
It's definitely in need of something.
right. Okay.
What's the address?
26 Cherry Hill.
The corner of Cherry Hill and Cherry Street.
Sally knows it well. The other question I have for you informally this evening, I was reached out to Tara Bear, contacted me, and I tried to get onto your agenda for your last round of site visits. I was hoping that if we do schedule some site visits this evening, ironically, right below Cherry Street on Cherry Hill Road, the Bears own a couple different parcels of land, and I apologize for the ambiguity that I'm going to put forth, but has an order of conditions that was issued by the Conservation Commission back in 2009, which is obviously expired. She is looking to acquire a larger tract of land behind the parcel that she got the notice of intent for, and is looking to see if it's a viable opportunity for her to build farther in the rear before she acquires it. Yes,
And wouldn't we require
12 Cherry Hill.
that first order of conditions be,
It's expired.
okay,
We could,
the work was not done?
work was not done.
So
We could close it out with a certificate of compliance, correct? Just if we decide that that's what she wants to do, administratively, we can clean that up.
I would do that anyway, if I were she. Just because then it's off the books and we don't hear from the DEP saying,
Understood.
you have.
Why you got two of them going.
Even if it's expired.
The last one before we go to Downey's, I see you have on to sign Scott and Mary Ann Goodell for the order of conditions.
Yes.
For 15 Lakeview Drive, and you got the deed restriction from the Board of
Yes.
Selectmen. Okay, very good. So if it's okay with you while I'm here, or I can go take my place again if we want to do Downey, or you want to go through the agenda.
Stay here, do it, be gone.
I don't know how to take that, Ron.
Be gone.
As I mentioned, I represent Sarah Downey and Andre Noren. They own property at 322 Stockbridge Road. You may have remembered they'd been in here, I believe, once before with an RDA from Mike Parsons for the septic repair. They are located directly across from Hillcrest Educational Centers.
Yeah, okay.
So Sarah and Andre own, they own approximately 12 acres.
Space from Riggs, right?
No, across from Hillcrest.
No, but wasn't the previous owner from Dr.
Oh, I
Riggs?
don't know. You would probably know better than I, Sally. I don't know who the previous owner was. We've been working with Sarah and Andre now for a little while to help them sort of master plan the property. And one of the things they're looking to do is they currently have, they've cleared out some land, they've developed some paddock areas, but the rear portion of the property is bifurcated by a bordering vegetated wetland with an intermittent stream running through it. They're desiring to seek access to the rear portion of the property so that at some point in time, they might be able to graze animals. They're thinking about grazing sheep or goats in the back. The only way to get to the back is via a crossing. What we're asking for is we're intending to pour a wing wall, and a bridge abutment with no wing walls, and then span the crossing with I-beams and then wood decking to get to the other side.
This is gonna hold vehicles or just?
Just farm tractors. There's no development, there's no buildings, there's no construction. It's simply a means to get from one part of the property over to the other for the purpose of grazing, most likely
Some
goats and sheep.
agricultural exemptions.
It will have agricultural exemptions eventually. Sarah has a building that's being constructed where she will spin her own wool and work out of the barn in the front portion of the property.
I think agricultural exemptions are only if it's existing in agriculture already, not if
Right.
it's new agriculture.
Exactly. We're not agriculturally,
Well, I was just wondering.
Appropriate
was it
yet.
Chapter 61 or anything
no,
like that.
none of the properties in any chapter protection or any conservation restrictions.
Slow you down a little bit? How much, what's the square footage of BBW that will be altered?
Less than 100 square feet.
Okay. But
And the reason why it's even being altered at all is that, my guess is you'll do a site visit, is that the BVW wanders it meanders. We picked the most narrow portion of the crossing, but it meanders a little bit. And our feeling is that to save a little bit of money and a little bit of impact, we narrowed the crossing length. And as a result, we do infringe on a little bit of the BVW. But if you see it, it's ambiguous. I flagged it and I flagged it aggressively. But my
17 trees in that
Yes.
100 square feet?
17 trees are not associated with the crossing. The 17 trees would be associated with the gravel path we would construct to get to the crossing.
So how much BVW is lost in the gravel path?
None.
None.
It's all buffer zone.
And are you planning to, or how are you planning to replace those trees?
It would be in a dialogue with this board.
Okay, well, we'd want to see a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so you have the trees flagged and everything else?
Yeah.
We're going to do a site visit?
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Fridays? 3?
Have to be early for
I
me.
can do like 9 o'clock Friday.
I could do 9 o'clock Friday.
So could I?
Wake up,
I
wake up.
don't think I
9 o'clock Friday.
I'm
Well, out of
retired
the house
too.
at 6, so
9 AM Friday.
9 AM. Morning.
Can I ask the board, would you schedule the site visit to Cherry Hill at the same time?
How about 10?
I'll bring coffee and donuts, Ron.
I probably can't make this.
Well, we'll try for 9:30, but.
Yeah, if we get there 9:30, I can do it.
Wonderful.
I might be late. I've got a meeting. I have SBS. Can I make it 9:30?
Address once again of the first one.
I can do
Can you do
9:30. I have to be on the road by
too old.
10:30.
Because I have.
9:30, we moved
Yeah,
moved it
9:30,
back.
Rob, sorry. I have an SBSC meeting, but
That's at 32 Stockbridge Road,
322.
3:20.
322.
Cherry
Yeah, I
Hill,
got
that's
two, I
10.
got 2 twos, yeah.
It's directly across from Hillcrest Educational Centers. I'll park out on the road, you'll see me.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you folks very much. Nice to see everyone again. Have a good evening. Thank you.
This Friday,
Yes.
right?
This Friday.
Okay. Bernard Hahn, should we send them a little reminder,
yeah, we probably should.
registered?
Yeah, I could do it registered.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay, continued till June. National Grid, Clark Road, I drove down there the other day.
Matt, Anthony is here, and I got a call from David Cameron. He has not had a chance to review the newest information, which just came in today.
So that's going to be continued as well,
Yeah, I
by the
didn't
sounds
see
of
it.
things.
Okay.
We should get confirmation from Anthony.
RDA,
Confirmation from Anthony, he's on.
Anthony?
Yep.
Anthony,
Yeah, good evening. Good to see everybody again. Yeah, I just had a couple quick questions as we continue. Understand we're still working on some materials for you and an update from some of those coordinations that we had included in that document that just came in late. So completely understand that it hasn't been reviewed yet, but just to note that we did respond to those each one of those comments from DEP. So that has been submitted. Mark Stinson at DEP was copied on that as well as the commission. So happy to discuss any of those items next time, as well as the business of the planting plan, which I do not have this evening because of coordination with the real estate group at National Grid, who informed us that once we remove that infrastructure, those poles and overhead wires from that cross-country section of right-of-way, that David had recommended we look into for restoration. Once that infrastructure is removed, the National Grid actually loses the easement rights to that area. So that would mean planting on private property, and not the route that National Grid would prefer to go in terms of monitoring, getting in access, and all that. That tends to be, less efficient for them on private property and several other reasons as well. And so we'd be interested in hearing from you all recommended spots on town property that we could look to do some plantings, shrub or trees. Was curious of your insight there, if you'd be amenable to shrubs as well as trees, or just a 1-for-1 for trees. Of course, native species. And what we typically do would be a spacing of about 20 feet between each, so that they're not clustered too tightly as they grow. They'd be 3 or 5 gallon plantings, and we'd be prepared to make sure that we meet that 75% survival rate that we mentioned before. But really, just looking this evening for some potential landing spots for those plantings, if you had any.
So I just want to comment on the shrub question. I would want at least a 1-to-1 replacement for the tree species. Those are really mature trees that you're taking out. I don't want them replaced with shrubs.
Mm-hmm.
And is there nowhere on the site where you can, that's National Grid property, that you can do those plantings?
Unfortunately not. That was the other part of that we asked directly to real estate, and looking at the easement documents over the last couple of weeks. We retrieved those, and they indicate explicitly that no plantings can be installed within those right-of-ways at all. It would just be, for the same reasons why we are removing the vegetation that we have to, that they'd have to be maintained and mowed or removed. So nothing can be in that right-of-way that would create any sort of risk to those overhead wires. So unfortunately, there isn't any other National Grid owned property on the site. It would just be on easement, and for all those conditions apply to that easement where no planting is permitted.
And we were talking about 40 trees, is that right?
Yeah, I guess that was one I wanted to confirm. It would be that's the total tree number, actually. So would you be looking for a replacement of 1-to-1 of live trees removed within wetlands? Would you need the dead ones replaced? There are a few dead ones within wetlands as well, or would it be just the live from wetlands replaced 1-to-1?
Live.
Yeah, the dead trees are important habitat, so
Yeah, but
I-
we can't replace a dead one with a dead one.
can't
so.
replace the dead one. But I mean,
Are the dead ones going to be removed?
Yeah, if they're
Not
upright.
left, not left for habitat?
That's a question I could ask. They wouldn't be able to stay upright, so they would have to be cut no matter what, flush to the ground. Whether the logs could stay in place as habitat, that could be a question I could ask, but typically it's cleared for maintenance.
So given that it's loss of some habitat, my feeling would be everything that's being taken out, even if it's dead, I would want a replacement. Because
Well, we would, it's a little complicated in that the Conservation Commission has jurisdiction over a few properties in town, but not all of them. This I would think would require some input from the powers that be. One of the powers who is here currently. Patrick, do you have thoughts?
Well, I mean, I know you're looking to do something at the foot, at the foot sanctuary, the bird sanctuary.
Yeah, that was a thought too. They're looking to do something at the beach as well.
That's right. And I don't know, if this is sort of one of those offsets, right? Where, because they can't do it there, they're doing something else.
Yeah.
You know, obviously at the edge of our Gold Meadow property and on our property over by the causeway, there's Phragmites. And I don't know if that would be a remediation opportunity. Finally, I think it'd be great to have some apple trees on some of our town properties for long-term food sources. That's just my personal opinion. I think any of those things would be great.
All right, let us work on the locations of these.
Yeah, absolutely. Those sound like
And these are
really good options.
40 trees now, or
I would say it's closer to 30 since there's some within uplands that are also proposed. So for the replacement, that would be required in wetlands closer to 30, but I can certainly have that. I owe you that list as
Okay.
well.
And you're still doing invasive removal in that
Yeah,
area?
so whatever is within that, new right of way,
You'll be doing it.
basically. So that would be removed and maintained going forward,
Okay.
beneath those new proposed structures along that southern part of Clark Road.
And
So that would kind of be taken care of with the removal.
and you'll submit to us how that's being done, what the means will be?
Yes, yeah, I can do that, and certainly, that can be a condition to be included.
Yeah, I think we had made it a condition previously. Yeah.
These 30 trees, will these be planted by the arborist or?
I believe they would hire a contractor familiar with the work. We certainly have recommendations that we could make to them, and I've also spoken to my contact at National Grid who would like GZA, most likely myself, to be out there, and we do quite a bit of that work ourselves and making sure that those are installed to spec, the spacing is correct, the species that were intended to be picked up were picked up and delivered safely. So we would likely be out there to assist with that endeavor.
All right, that's where my question was going. I don't want this to fall upon something the town has to plant now.
Oh,
If-
right, yeah.
If the trees come in, don't drop them in one spot and say, here's your 30 trees. If we do the 32 trees,
They said 2 to 1.
Yeah, I'm not happy with 30 trees. I would like 40 trees.
let's have this discussion continue then.
Okay, and what size would the planting be? Okay.
Typically the 3 gallon or 5 gallons. So a 5 gallon end up being, and forgive me if you're familiar, 5 gallon usually come in at, they're already about 5 feet tall, 4 or 5 feet tall.
Okay.
All right, I think we need to look at the species list. Okay, and then we can determine where these might appropriately go.
We could make recommendations, couldn't we? I mean, if Patrick thinks that the town would be interested in having some
Apples.
apple trees and
Yeah.
things like that planted, that might be.
We need an open space.
Right. So we need a recommendation from the town or a request from the town as to where those might go.
I mean, we just recovered a ball field, we've got,
Can you give us a list? Can you give us a list of things that would be of interest to the town?
Yeah, or if you give me a list, I'll recommend it back to you. I mean, honestly, we all know where the properties are.
Okay,
you guys decide.
all right, so we got to work on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Is there someone in particular I should follow up with on that? I can help coordinate any of that, or directly back with Sally also works.
Yeah, send it to me and we'll make sure that the rest, well, send it to the whole commission, but we'll make sure that David gets copied as well.
Yep.
What sort of confirmation right now do you need from us? Do you need the exact number of trees? Do you need, well, we're waiting on the species.
No, neither one.
We may not have space for 50 trees either.
Oh, we could find a place to plant 50 trees.
Yeah, they aren't very big, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, creating a plan. I mean, I could go as far as getting the spacing and all that, but, the locations, I guess, would come first and then species. Of course, those are kind of chicken and the egg, it sounds like, with location on, if it's apple here and a native riparian species here there. But I think, narrowing down to areas that can accommodate the number that you're looking for, 40, if that's the case. I can follow up to get those locations from you, wherever you decide is would be best, and
All right,
go from
let
there on a
us,
plan.
let us do a little conferencing on where these might go. And then we'll give you well, maybe square footage, I don't know. No, that'd be too complicated.
We need to know location.
We got to get back to you on location.
Yeah.
Hadn't thought of this before, so. We may have, someone may give us some locations that we're not familiar with right at the moment, so. Okay, let's, you send us what you got and we'll send you what we come up with. How's that sound?
Sounds like a plan. I appreciate it.
All right,
And I guess I'll assume continue to the next meeting unless we, run out of time.
yes, we'll continue this.
Great.
We'll have better information on both our parts.
So that's May 23rd is our next meeting.
Thank you.
Trees.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we
Thanks,
got,
everybody.
we got
Have a good
a
night.
communication from Tom Lewis at Tech Associates, which I sent to you. You probably didn't get it before you came, but anyway, I sent it to you just to confirm the ride along on Friday.
Yes,
Okay, so if you can get with him
okay.
and confirm if somebody else wants to go, I think there's room for one other person.
I can't Friday.
I can't do it. I wanted to, but I can't.
What time Friday? Because we
Noon.
got this,
15?
Yeah, I think he said noon.
we should be all set by now.
So Chuck, you'll confirm with him?
Yes, I will.
Okay, great. All right, so that's continued.
Okay. Do we skip over?
45.
45 Interlake Road, Tardis Limited?
11:15.
Not here, I don't think we had to do anything except for possibly close the hearing.
So what I did a drive-by. You did a site visit?
Yeah, it was really uncomplicated. They wanted to get rid of the lilacs and they wanted to do
Yeah.
some this, that, and the other thing.
Okay,
Fine.
It was 100 square feet maybe?
Yeah.
Wasn't much.
okay.
Matter of fact, I think they planted one tree already. Well, anyway, there's a tree in blossom that I didn't realize was there before. Now I'm looking at places. All right, so make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's done. That's the railroad. Friday. Coming up. Page 2.
So we did Sarah with Rob,
Yeah,
and we have Craig and Lori are here.
Craig and Lori. Want to come forward? This has to do with the little bridge across your brook.
It's actually the bridge is all fine because that was
We did
fixed
that a few years
a couple of
back.
years ago.
Yeah.
But it's some of it's the driveway part. You might want to describe it, and I brought some pictures.
Well, basically the bridge was made for the water behind it, which is now basically 2 inches to 3 inches high. And the place for the rocks that are on the south side of us are all blasted rock. So that's now.
Some of the rocks are just starting to roll off the under foundation. So the proposal is to just put new boulders on that side, right from the driveway. There's no impact on the water sides. I can pass this around, but there are these large boulders that created the driveway.
So basically what you're doing, you're reinforcing the driveway itself.
Buttress, right.
Over 45 feet, not the whole thing.
Towards the road or towards the house, or both? Both sides of the bridge?
No,
No.
just,
The upstream,
no, just the,
upstream?
Downstream.
just beach from the Dugway Road to the bridge. Everything's fine on the other side of the bridge, but it's only on the one side of the driveway, which is the wooded side where the rocks, the foundation
And
is.
is it the bank where these would go? I guess-
What we would
Yes.
do is have Jim Wilkinson come with about 5 truckloads of large stones. And the stones that have dropped will create a kind of, I have a picture of it.
I think you have, do you have the little map, Craig?
I've
I
got
just
it.
see we have an RDA.
I have copies if you like them.
So the way that the bridge was made was straight down. And so we've had large trucks for years, building a house and cement trucks. Well, we're not doing that anymore.
The last page is a little driveway.
So we're just the two of us going across. I've requested from Dresser Hall that they do not bring in a big truck, just delivered in pickup. So the footing is larger than what is shown. I'm showing a footing there that's at an angle because what they have is straight down. So basically, we're looking for an RDA. Everything is going to be used from the driveway. And so
But is it work in the bank? My question.
It was just dropping stones along the side of the bank to shore it up. There's no work under it or in it or,
or next to the stream.
No excavation at all?
no. Just dropping stones
And
with the,
these are not going to impede the water at all? They're not going in the stream itself? These are just to hold the bank in place?
correct.
Right.
You can see in this where some of the stones have started to roll down. I'm sorry, it's from the top of the driveway. It's not from underneath, but,
So those are now in the stream itself?
no, those are just in the woods. It's not anywhere near the stream, actually.
It's right underneath the drive.
Are you going to pull those back out or up the hill?
No, we're going to pull
It's
them
gonna
in
put new,
and put new stuff on top. So,
but that's sort of the scale of the boulder that would just reinforce the driveway so that,
these are big
can't.
stones.
Yeah,
These are-
I've been there before.
Yeah,
yeah.
But I haven't looked at this portion of it.
I can't visualize.
I feel like I need to see it.
yeah,
So we'll do a site visit. We'll come look at it.
Time to do
yeah.
that.
We're going to be out and about this Friday.
Okay.
Want to see
Oh, okay,
it
let's move it to,
Thursday afternoon?
No, because we can't advert, we can't post it.
so it'll have to be after this weekend sometime,
Yeah, I would like to see it.
every day.
Monday afternoon? Girl, three?
I'm there most of the time. I've had back surgery that's failed, so
Oh, sorry.
I'm basically there most of the time. So, but I need to know what
Guess you're not-
day you're coming.
Not playing pickleball then, huh?
That's why I'm not sitting down. I haven't sat down. So,
So what time?
We're working on it. Monday,
3:15? 3:15? Oh,
That's fine.
sounding like it.
Exercise for the town meeting?
yeah, there you go.
It's my son's 40th birthday. Jesse's.
Congratulations. Wow.
I can't believe he's that old.
Yeah, we'll get a little nature time before.
29 then,
town
doesn't
meeting.
it?
Yeah, it does.
Monday at
5:15 at 3 o'clock?
this coming Monday,
Yes, does that work for you?
Great.
3 o'clock?
Yep.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
I go to bed at 4.
Okay,
So are all of you.
Won't keep you up, Craig.
Okay.
all right, so we'll meet you there.
Thank you, I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Should we drive right in or stay on the road or?
Whatever you want, you can drive in.
Okay.
Welcome to drive in, experience why it needs to be addressed.
You're not,
Still there to drive out when I'm.
Yeah. And or you could park along the side of the road and walk in, whatever's
Okay,
easy for you all.
thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay. Yeah.
all right. So we need to sign Goodall,
Here we have a lot to sign.
Childers,
Childers, yeah.
Childers,
She's here, Rachel is
Boat
here.
Club.
Jay wants to take that paperwork. So we'll need to copy it.
All right, well, let's we'll pull that out, we'll sign that and then make copies. And Arnoff? 1, 2, 3.
We should have 4.
Okay,
All right, so this is Aronoff, the new septic system. That was SK. This is the boat club for Jay.
give me the Boat Club.
This is Childers. Rachel, we're gonna sign for you. It'll get mailed to SK for recording. And this is Goodell. This is Rob.
That's the first one that came around.
Clip. The clip went flying.
Did we lose it?
Did you lose?
Lose the pen?
No, the paperwork.
Oh,
Oh, my word. I was on my hands and knees, I couldn't find that. Having an issue with this one. I have to sign off sheet. You never know. Last one.
I think it's.
Yeah, that's good. We'll sort it out after. Okay. I'm assuming this is the final version.
so there's nothing here that needs to be signed.
And these, I don't know what happened to them. It's been
Goes with the last.
sent, yeah, and we're gonna have a couple dozen made. Don't know. It didn't show.
So Dave was gonna change it.
Yes.
We need him for next week. We need him for the town meeting.
I asked if we could give them away and there was some discussion on that, what you can pass out at the town meeting. Don't ask me.
we had planned both Forestry Commission and Concom. We're going to have a display for the town meeting with the brochure and information about invasive species.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there any issue? We got to check because Michael thought there might be some, what we can pass out.
Well, we're going
Do
to
you need
pass
this
it out.
for
It's
the
just gonna be on
package? They
the-
lost it.
Yeah, we'll just put them on a table. If somebody wants to take
On a
one.
rack. It's just going to be on a rack.
I don't, okay.
I thought that Matt was working with Michael on it. So would that be an issue?
We should have smaller ones.
We'll double check.
You can hand out light bulbs, why not brochures and that's,
We'll wait for Sally to come back. That needs to
Yeah.
go back. That's not right?
I don't know which one, well, something wasn't right.
I thought he changed it.
That's the only thing that's been holding this up for weeks now.
Yeah.
That and it's upside down, but can change that with a copy machine.
We need it for Monday.
I printed okay.
Your little salamander that lives in your cellar? I had one like that the other day.
they've been there for 60 years.
Same salamander?
Yeah, because because the house has it has a drainage system around the perimeter, and so they crawl in and out of the holes,
You've had a 60-year-old salamander?
Well, I don't know if it's the sound contest, but they're.
Looks the same.
I haven't done a DNA check.
All right, so I might be right back.
So can I look at this?
Yes, we should break them apart and correlate them. And we'll get them stapled. Or just take them. There should be 7 sets there. Come on forward. Give us your updated version of what you know.
Sure, yeah. Thank you. We talked earlier about concerns to do with the river. And I wanted to tell you about a surprising direction that this investigation, personal investigation, has led to. Trying to understand the relationship between the environment of Stockbridge, which is essentially where you directed me last time, away, not toward human health, but maybe to be more inclusive of the health of the natural systems in the town. And I started to look at the river in Stockbridge, and going in and out of Terry's office, I saw that floodplain map, which shows, the large areas of Stockbridge which do go underwater when the river floods, and
It would be affected.
yeah, and there is a degree of PCB migration, I gather, out into those floodplain areas, up Ice Glen Road on that brook, and, the big ones, coming down Larry Wog Brook that backs up there, and and I got to thinking about what raises and lowers water in Stockbridge. And that reminded me of the 2 floods that I recall, where the golf course was flooded to waist or chest deep, not the usual ankle deep or where I can just canoe over it, but I'm bumping on the bottom. And those were in 1949, when I was 3 years old, and a member of my family had to go down to the golf course to help move the piano up to the 2nd floor. And even on the 2nd floor, they were worried about the water. It was that deep in 49. And then again in 1968, January. And on both of those occasions, there were dam failures upstream of Stockbridge in the town of Lee.
Kenny, I'm sorry, tell me the second date for the flood.
January 1st, 1949 was the mud pond failure in Lee. And the 1968 failure at Greenwater Pond, the dates, let's see,
It's okay, 1968, 20.
I think it was in the spring. And in both those cases, sediment and pieces of wood and stuff were, you know, when the waters went down, had been spread as high as Park Street and all over the golf course and all over the place. And I was thinking, weren't we lucky that there were not PCBs in that water? Well, of course, there were PCBs in that water, but not a terrible amount because they had come down inly about where Big Y is. From that, both of those floods came down along Route 20, and Mud Pond and Greenwater Pond were both up there. And so that got me thinking about what would happen if there was a dam failure above Woods Pond, not below Woods Pond, but above, say, and I had read Heather Bellow's article in the Eagle earlier this year where she said that there were a number of high hazard dams owned by the city of Pittsfield in the hill towns of Washington, Dalton, Hinsdale, and one other town up there. Remember which one?
Dalton, Hinsdale.
I don't remember.
Probably.
Let's see. If when I drove up there, it was Beckett, Washington, Hinsdale, Dalton, and then I swung down through Richmond because I know that Richmond Pond also is a dam, which I was trying to get a sense of dam failure. What would dam failure mean to Stockbridge if it happened not below Woods Pond, like the Mud Pond flood or the Greenwater Pond flood, but if it happened above the Woods Pond Dam and that 1,000 acres of PCB mud up there. And in the process, I started to learn about dam safety. And so I went to the town of Lee, which is where Woods Pond Dam is located, and I said, what would happen if you had a dam failure at the Woods Pond Dam? Knowing, of course, that that's extremely unlikely because they rebuilt that dam in 1989 from bedrock. And that dam will not fail. But the question is, what would happen if one of the ones above it would fail? And I wanted to know what what sort of preparedness there was. And I discovered that there is a preparedness process, and each one of those dams has a report called a EAP, Emergency Action Plan. And with that plan, there is an inundation map, which shows if, for example, the Farnham Dam, which is up in Washington, were to fail, it would come down and it would hit directly the floodplain above Woods Pond. It would not come down through Pittsfield like most of the rest. And, and they showed an inundation map. And it's extraordinary because they show the failure, and then they show the path of the flow, and then they show the inundation to the town line,
The Lee Town Line?
But not beyond that.
but not beyond it.
It's stuff.
I'm terribly disorganized as usual. But you guys are map people, you'll get it. So this is, I mean, here we go, here's one.
You want to come up?
Yeah, this is what I mean by, would you like to handle that? But you can see that they come down the mountain and then they stop at, this is if it was a Cleveland dam failure. It comes down the mountain, floods most of Pittsfield. Covers the top of the the 1,000-acre floodplain, holding the PCBs, and then it stops.
Go somewhere.
Well, we know it goes somewhere, but,
That's their concern. I mean,
Yeah.
it's Pittsfield, that's all.
so then I went to the town of Lee, and I said to myself, you guys have got to be on top of this, given all this river activism and everything. And I asked them, I said, what happens when Farnham goes and it goes over the top of the Woods Pond Dam and comes down through Lennoxdale and right by the Eagle Mill there, and gosh, I hope it makes that corner, and I was really surprised. I was speaking to the fire chief, who's also the FEMA officer in the town, and he said, we don't worry about that.
Which town?
He said, that's probably a misquote, but he said, we have the emergency action plans for Lee only deal with dam failures which happen inside Lee. So yes, they have an emergency action plan for Lee,
But not upstream.
which doesn't take into consideration a dam failure above Woods Pond. And because of that, the inundation area, which is shown with a failure at Woods Pond Dam, is minimal. And extraordinarily, when it gets to Stockbridge, it only covers part of the golf course.
They need a regional watershed.
Now, we both know what the golf course looked like in 1949. When it was 4 feet, under 4 or 5 feet, and it left, moving cars and, and that kind of thing. And that was from, fortunately, below Lee rather than above. So I started to really scratch my head and I started to think maybe the town of Stockbridge needs to take a look at, on its own really, at what the situation with the river really is. And at the end of the day, I went back to Lee and I picked up a copy of the Goose Pond emergency action plan because that's very close to us. It's essentially directly above the Willow Mill Dam, you know, in a flow pattern. And this is what I discovered about Goose Pond. Goose Pond is 6,000 acre feet. It's a high risk, high hazard dam. 6,000 acre feet is 3 times the size of the Greenwater Dam, which failed in 68.
Just an earthen dam.
What's that?
It's just an earthen dam?
It's an earthen dam.
Yeah.
And I looked at the EAP for that. And first of all, I noticed that we're not on the call notification list in Stockbridge. Tyringham and Lee are. And yet Stockbridge we would be really heavily hit by a failure at Goose Pond. And it just started to make me wonder, what do we know about this situation on our river as we're going into a remediation process above Woods Pond, which is going to leave, I don't know, Tim Gray says 80% of the PCBs will be left in the floodplain above the dam. 70, maybe he says 70, I'm not sure. All I can think of is a flood from one of these reservoirs coming down. And, you know, when they come down, they have debris and sediment and pieces of houses and cars and all that coming into the 1,000-acre floodplain where the PCBs are, and just scraping that thing over the top of the dam, destroying the critical infrastructure in the floodplain, which would include the sewage treatment plants, the power transformer station over there on Meadow Street, you know, off of Tyringham Road, roads, bridges.
And other dams.
What's that?
Other dams too.
And possibly downstream dams. And I thank you. And what we will be left with when the water recedes would be a coating of sediment containing PCBs, sediment, and raw sewage. And that it really we might be facing a situation which we haven't really given consideration to. And so that's my, and it will be dispersed, one would think, throughout Stockbridge in the lower areas. And I can't anticipate how high it is, because I think that the emergency action plan from Lee on the Woods Pond failure is not accurate. It can't be accurate. I mean, how could a failure there be so much less than what we experienced from a much smaller event?
Our sewage treatment plant treatment plant is right on the river. So if there were a big failure of a dam upstream or upriver and it picked up a whole bunch of stuff that creates battering rams and, you know, whatever else the debris would pick up.
Yeah.
I think it's likely that it would impact not only the golf course, obviously, but I think it's very likely that it could
Major roads too.
it could hit
Yeah.
certainly
Yeah.
Route 7.
I mean, remember when the bridge almost blocked with the ice jam?
Right.
And if there was a lot of debris and trees and stuff coming down, it could block there too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but our sewage treatment plant is not that much higher above ground, elevation. And there's a berm, if I remember correctly, of going down there, because we went bottle searching down there one time. I think there's a berm that holds the river back from the,
Right. But it goes it's underground, basically.
yeah, from the sewage treatment plant. So if that got bombarded and,
Have you ever been down there? Basically 50 feet of stairs
Yeah.
down into the ground.
yeah,
Also, I think probably that if the flood were to come down through Lee, it would probably, there would probably be a combined sewerage overflow because of all the street drains that are still connected into the sewer system. I mean, they've been programming those out, but that's a big stress on a system like that as well.
Every sewage treatment is right next to the river.
Right, yes.
Yes,
Lennox
last overflows
Field.
every other year.
Everywhere.
I canoe, when I'm canoeing in the summer, I'm canoeing on effluent essentially, yeah. Yeah,
He's just looking up, excuse me, Diane,
yeah.
he's gonna look up the density of PCBs float on the water or, the density.
Excuse me?
I think it's an oil.
It's an oil, but chlorine is really heavy.
Well, that's what's so interesting is that the PCBs that are in the floodplain have been adsorbed to silt. And that's how they moved from GE transformer
With the silt.
with the silt. And so whereas where they first escaped from transformer, they were in an oil which actually is kind of congeals and doesn't move easily. Over time, if it absorbs to silt, it travels miles. And that's how it was dispersed throughout that 1,000-acre floodplain. The beavers helped a lot, actually, with all of the food channels and excavations that it's infested with beavers up there. I mean, it's really quite something, yeah, yeah.
So do any of the high hazard dams, are they fixing any of the high hazard dams?
High hazard doesn't mean that they're unsafe. It means that they are, there's a big hazard if they fail. The dam rating is the thing that determines whether they're safe. Yeah, I know that.
Okay, so what's the rating for the upstream ones?
Poor, yeah. You mean Goose Pond? Yeah, Goose Pond is poor. And Farnham, let's see, I wrote on the side of Farnham some notes. In the margin, which one is it?
Sandwash.
Any plans for repairs at Goose Pond?
Might be one of these, actually. Probably one of these. Yeah, I wrote something. Can you see what I said in there? I don't know. I may not have.
Goose Pond Dam is rated as poor.
Hazard potential classification is high. The hazard potential classification is high.
Yeah, that's the high hazard, but it doesn't say rate the condition which Patrick has raised. It's a good point, Patrick. Yeah.
You're so quick, I'll do that if you want.
And each one has a rating. And there's actually an Office of Dam Safety for the state of Massachusetts. You can actually call it. I don't know if you guys can. And they'll tell you for every dam what the rating is. I mean, it's interesting, sort of. My sense is that, as Denny points out, there's going to be PCBs in the floodplain, but whether or not they do the cleanup. I assume they're doing the cleanup, but that's not me, not up to any of us. There's EPA is given a permit to GE to clean it up. The point that he's making, I think, is that there is going to be some level of PCBs in this floodplain that could travel even after it's cleaned up or whether or not it's cleaned up. And I think that in terms of catastrophic impacts in the town, taking a look at the regional dams because of the points that Denny is making. This has nothing to do with Reston River so much as really a regional catastrophic safety issue. So, I think it's really interesting. I think that next year, looking at some kind of discussion among towns, BRPC, it seems like the plans only are town by town, not regional, but a failure upstream could have the effect that you're having. But, like if the goose pond fails, regardless of whether it's bringing PCBs down, it could wreak havoc on, entire neighborhoods, whether or not it's poisoning them or not. So, I think it merits, I don't think it's a imminent issue, but I think it certainly is, it's an interesting observation.
But the long-term effects, theoretically, if that were to happen, would be a problem. I mean, if we had a catastrophic failure of a dam and it brought the silt with PCBs in it and spread them all over the place, then the same kinds of things that the vets have noticed with the increased cancer incidence in pets that live along the river would also potentially affect the humans that live along the river once those PCBs had been redistributed.
Right. I think you're absolutely right. And what I don't know, because I'm no expert and I'm not on that committee, is whether or not there's more potential because of the high concentration PCBs are in place now. Is there more potential catastrophic impact if it's not remediated versus if it is? I think it's bad either way though. And the larger point is we can't have one of these dams fail because based on the current conditions, whether or not we clean it up, it could be catastrophic. So I think it merits study.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Denny. Were you able to get a hold of those reports from, Denny, were you able to get a hold of those reports from the vets?
Oh, absolutely.
Can you?
Everything and I'll be glad to pass everything on to you.
Please.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. Performance standards, latest version. Everybody gets a copy. Take some time, look through them. We'll vote to accept them at the next meeting, possibly. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Good luck.
So we're just going to review these and
Yeah.
talk about it next meeting.
Thank you.
We'll be
We're
done.
all voting yes, right?
Hopefully, this is an extra one for Jamie.
Jamie, yeah.
But I'll put it in the no slot. Oh, as for a key, if you need for a reason to get during business hours, go to the office and they'll let you in.
Okay, great.
And we had the discussion about hanging a key somewhere,
Cherry or which office?
either one.
Okay, great.
Because sometimes one's here and the other one isn't, but they each have a key that'll get you. So there's a box, like a lock box with all the keys in it. All hung on a nice little hook. Terry went up, picked it up, opened it up, and it was upside down.
Everything, oh my God.
I don't know how long it took her to get it straight. I left. I'm so sorry.
I gotta go.
I'm so sorry.
So you're okay if I want to look through things?
Sure. Public office,
Just be sure that you lock the door when you leave.
Will do.
So the portions that are highlighted in yellow,
I didn't know there were portions highlighted.
there's some places.
Headers work, right?
Just pick this up.
The headers work?
Oh, there's two sections.
All right, I'm looking at page 11.
Yep.
So we have the list, I don't know if you saw this, of what they're replanting it.
There was some place where there clearly was going to be a date inserted.
Yeah, right, in the beginning, yeah.
45 Interlaken
The one
Road.
across the boat club.
Okay. Yeah, hang on a bit.
Ron, if you have time, when it comes time to those trees, you know, where they're gonna go and where to put them, I'll put together
We'll have a,
a little powwow.
yep.
So we have a few tree things. David was going to send me the final copy of the brochure.
Thought
The
you
one,
did.
no,
Oh, of the brochure. I'm sorry.
unfortunately, it was
Tree removal.
the same as the first one. So he's sending me a new one and we'll get it.
So we'll have it for Monday?
I don't see
think
why not.
so. I think
It'd
so.
take once we get it, it'll take like a half hour to.
Yeah, he said if it doesn't, yeah, then we'll have it for Monday.
We will.
And how, do you need help getting it Monday for the town meeting so we can put it on the rack?
Oh, right, okay, yes. We'll have to do that. We have a couple other
Once we get
issues.
them in, then we'll, even if we just have to put them on a table.
Okay, that was gonna pick up the rack, so we should have the rack.
You need one of these size of racks?
No,
Just a regular
from
folder.
John.
Because basically they're gonna be,
Yeah,
So we've had another report from a citizen in town that the Haupt Tree Company is removing water from
right.
Camp Hoosabrook or the Housatonic, I'm not sure exactly which one, and filling their trucks to do whatever it is that they're doing.
it's either spraying trees or liquid fertilizer.
Right.
Yeah, something, which, and we wondering where they're putting the liquid fertilizer, which is something we didn't really address. But in any case, so we got photographs of the trucks removing the,
Water.
you probably have all seen,
Yeah.
that removing the water from the brook. So, so they said, no, we're not. I
Said
said,
yoo-hoo.
yes, you are. We
Really?
have pictures.
Wow.
So I wrote to him and said, we've had another report, because we had a report last year in August that they were doing that. We've had another report that you have been taking water from the Housatonic River, I think it might have been Campusa Brook, so that might have been my error. This activity must be permitted by the Conservation Commission. Our concern regards where your trucks have been and what bodies of water they have been in contact with. It is known that the Housatonic contains several invasive species that could be transported by this practice, including Eurasian milfoil and the dreaded zebra mussel. The spread of these invasives is of major concern. For now, you must continue this practice immediately. So they wrote to me and said, no, we aren't doing that. But, I wrote back and said, we have pictures. And then I sent them the pictures and said, it says Haupt Tree Company right on the back of your truck. So I think you kind of can't say you weren't doing that.
Did we notify that Mike Buffoni will sell them the water? You just have to pull in and everything will be legit?
We're not at that stage yet. So Michael Canales had put up, had also done a draft thing that he was going to send them. So I think he's going to send them something from the town that says,
It was in the email.
yeah, so everybody should have received that under the State Wetlands Protection Act. Any activity that will fill, dredge, alter, or remove material from wetland resource and/or the buffer zone requires review from the Conservation Commission. Any companies caught drawing water illegally would be subject to fines and possible legal action, including the notification of the state DEP and the state environmental police. If these companies are using their hoses to take water from different locations without cleaning them in between, they also risk the spread of invasive species as Eurasian milfoil and invasive animal species such as zebra mussels. The hoses can harm the habitat by disturbing native plants and animals, and the materials the hoses carry can dissolve oxygen in the water and lead to fish kills and algae overgrowth. So I think he's going to send that to them. And there was another company that we also had this conversation with a couple of years ago that
There's
was.
at least 3 or 4 in Berkshire County that do work in Stockbridge, so.
Yeah, there was somebody 5 years ago, Sally, about,
Yeah, there was somebody down in taking.
they were at the Causeway.
Yeah, that I didn't see, but there was somebody down off of Rattlesnake taking water out of the,
Down by Berkshire Country Day School, that little brook right there.
yeah, that's another one. I don't think they get it. And the picture that we were sent by our concerned citizen showed what looked to me like an oil slick on the road. So who knows what that is? You know, whether that's the fertilizer, whether it's an oil slick, whether it's gasoline, whatever it is, it's potentially washing into the brook. And
Is that somebody trying to get in?
that's Rachel, I think, still.
Hello? Anybody there?
Is that Rachel still? Yes. Yeah.
Yes, this is still Rachel. Just listening out of curiosity. No comment here.
All right.
Sure, thanks. Bye-bye.
So anyway, there's that.
What kind of fine could they be? Could we levy?
No, I mean, under our wetlands protection,
They're altering,
the town, it's $100 a day.
they're altering the resource.
For the state, WPA is $100 a day. So theoretically, it could be $200 a day. Fine.
Just for catching them once.
Yeah,
John Hart was kind of right about that. If you don't start throwing around some fines, people are just going to ignore it.
right. Well, this is something that we should talk to Michael about
Yeah.
and
Well,
whether,
We have to give the notification that what they've done is not right.
which we did
In writing.
in writing. I mean, I emailed him, yeah, and he
That's right.
responded, so he
Yeah,
got it.
that's in writing.
Because, oh, we aren't doing that.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have pictures of your truck. Really, buddy?
And they've just changed hands.
Yeah, have they?
Yeah, Bartlett Tree Company has bought
Right,
out, yeah,
Really?
yeah.
yeah, because that's who I sent it to, was
Retirement
Sheffield
age.
at Bartlett or some private, I don't know. Anyway, so whoever it is, this was recent, so it wasn't like it was the one that they did last year. Yeah, anyway. So we also have the issue of the trees at the Catholic cemetery.
What's that about?
They want to cut them down right on the
They are
entrance.
cutting them down. They have
Oh, the
cut them
hemlock?
down. Yes,
Double row of hemlock you drive into.
a lot of them are
Yeah.
dead, I guess.
And is it private property?
Yes,
There's some adelgid there.
yeah.
I did walk through it. There's some adelgid.
I mean, I don't know what I did with all the paperwork that I had on that. I had a bunch of paperwork.
And are they close to, what's the resource area?
There's nothing there.
Yeah, so
No.
it's not really, if it's private and there's not a resource area.
Not much we can do.
Right, but people are concerned because of the visual, I think.
Well, look what they did to the cemetery with the big, huge white pines that were in there.
Yeah, and look at what it looked like down in Great Barrington at the cemetery when the tornado went through. It's just changed the whole thing. It was weird. And then we got a communication, I got a phone call and an email from Matt Barnard, who is the new facilities manager at the Red Lion Inn. He said the Red Lion Inn has a need to use their employee parking lot off of Park Street for the coming summer season. After a site walk, it is readily apparent that the dead trees surrounding the lot are a safety hazard. We are looking for guidance into how to remove them and make them safe and be respectful of the surrounding wetlands. I will mark the trees and we would like to remove with an orange dot at eye level facing the parking lot for your review per our conversation this afternoon. This will be done on Thursday, May 11th. So on Thursday, they will have marked all the trees in the,
Okay, they're gonna mark, not take them down.
no, they,
Okay.
well, theoretically. They will mark the trees that are down. Does everybody know where the parking lot is?
It's a
Okay,
last issue.
so you know where Minkler Insurance is?
Yep.
Okay, so there's a driveway that goes to a house down behind, but then as you're looking at it, to the right of that, between the lavender door and that building, there's a driveway.
Right.
It goes down to what used to be the old Hall's Garage.
Oh, yeah.
And if you go down past Hall's Garage, you get to the parking lot that belongs to the Red Lion Inn. It also comes out on
There's an easier way.
on Pine Street. Well, it comes out on Pine Street.
Today,
Yeah.
right there.
Where they tore the barn down and.
Yeah,
rebuilt the
Sarah's,
barn.
Right down that road,
Yeah.
okay.
not Sarah, Linda's barn that they're rebuilding is, the driveway is just
Oh, I didn't know there was a.
downsize of that. There's a parking
brook
lot
right
back there.
though, too.
Yeah. there's
I'm
no-
sorry?
There is that brook.
There
right
is a brook that goes
They're gonna have
by.
orange dots on.
So there are wetlands and stuff.
Drainage channel, if you don't mind.
It's got fish in it.
Very
It's
seasonal.
got fish in it.
Yeah, they probably some people dump some goldfish. in it.
No.
It's a little stream.
It's not a stream. It goes,
I see water on here.
it goes right
Water
from.
with fish in it. It's a brook.
I'm an official observer and it goes dry for sometimes a couple months. I'm not kidding.
Well,
At least in
but
my
I've
house.
seen fish in it.
It's still an intermittent stream.
Yeah.
It's an intermittent.
So it is a resource area
I
and
don't know where they go when it dries up, but when it gets wet again, they come back.
Those are the ones that
They hold the
bridle shiners.
Bridle shiners.
Into the mud.
So anyway, there's that. So if people want to take a swing through there and take a look at the trees after Thursday, that would be
I'm not driving.
something. And we had the preliminary tree removal form from David, which I would really like to get finalized so that we have it to hand out to people. So when they come to us and say we want to remove trees, that we can give them something.
Didn't he make the changes? Is there anything else that needs to be done?
It needs to kind of be spiffied up, I think.
Does he send it back out in the fall after the?
Yeah, I'll have to look again
Yeah, I thought
and
he
see.
sent it back,
This has
didn't he?
not been a particularly productive week for me.
Okay.
And do we
12
have
Mackinac Court
anything
Terrace?
from the forestry commission?
No, we finalized what we're going to distribute at the meeting, at the town meeting. Jamie was there, so she looked it over from the Concom.
Okay,
So
that's all I got.
Oh, what's 12 Mackinac Terrace be removed?
21 Mackinac Terrace.
21.
So this is voted on by the town.
Oh, that's Mrs.,
no,
Just us.
just us,
that's the Willow.
by
Mrs.
our.
Pasternak,
We can
the Willow.
recommend it.
That's uprooted and,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
So, I mean, what's the process? Because some of these things feel like they just sort of hang on there, that and the,
They do. We are, that's why we want an official form. Then we have an official document that people can submit with the information that they are looking for us to review. And then we have this official document that we can send back to them, saying, yes, you may remove the trees, just go ahead and do it. Or, yes, you may remove the trees that you need to replant, or no, you may not remove the trees.
I guess the piece in the middle is what I'm missing, which is,
If there's somebody
Is that-
going to say,
is Ron,
taking down trees,
or is,
and we're going to say, yes, we know, we have the paperwork on it. That's the type.
but, you know, is Ron going to go look at it? Is Ron going to call one of us and say, would you go look at
I
this?
think if we have the form, just the same way we have the jurisdictional, it can go in the box and Ron or whoever can go by and look at it, or we
I come in
can,
2-3 times a week.
or we can distribute it at a meeting and say to somebody, somebody says, I'll go look at this, I'll look at this project. And we'll have,
That feels like maybe the piece that it hasn't been specific, because they're like, gee, I'll go look at that.
right.
And
You knew that.
Well, that's the nice thing about having the piece of paper.
piece of paper
The
helps.
formal application from the people
Next job.
to say, we want to remove a tree. We have more information than we normally get, which is just like, I've got trees that I need to take down. Which we're like, yeah, okay, where are they? And, some kind of map or, references to where this is. If it's high and dry, we don't really have anything to say about it. But if it is near a resource area, then we may be more
But up,
consideration.
That's why we hand out one of these with the tree thing.
But up to this point, including today, if it's a dead tree that could be falling on a house or a
Power
porch.
lines or
Right, or it's invasive, they can just go to town without asking us, right?
depends on where it is.
Well, even if it's right next to the
If it's in,
resource?
no, they should come to, if it's in the resource area, they should come here.
Okay.
Sometimes
Outside the resource, they can do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
outside the resource area, it's not our jurisdiction.
on a few cases, I've gotten calls down the very end of Lake Drive. Very end. You can't go any farther. You got to back up and turn around.
Yeah,
There was some dead trees. Dead trees.
Right.
Why they were still standing, I don't even know. And I said, yeah, and I told him, I said, leave the stumps, don't drop stuff. Just get it down when you can get it down before the next storm comes. And rather than go through 2 weeks from now, or if the tree's leaning, I said, get it down, take care of it, clean it up, leave the stump, don't make a mess and plant something. And for pretty much, they say, oh, okay, gee, thank you for letting us take it down, so, you know. And I take them at their word that they're gonna do that.
well, their intentions are good if they're calling you, right?
Yes,
Exactly.
that's half the battle, is to get them to check. And I don't wanna cause more issue, but if I say, yeah, that's a pine tree that's dead, plant another pine tree as close as you can to it and be good and be gone, you know?
Right.
So that's kind of the thing that I when I'm,
Or let the
Picking up
little one
stuff.
that's next to it grow.
Is a buffer zone considered a resource?
No, but under our new performance standards, we have more to say about buffer zones.
'Cause I was just gonna
Buffer zone
say-
is not a resource.
I didn't think it was. Okay.
Yeah, but
know,
this is in the resource. Yeah, I really want to see this. I'm,
No, I was just curious.
yeah.
When we tend to go to Taft Farm on Tuesdays with my littlest grandson, because he thinks he likes to go look at the animals and he wants to look at the turtles and
the turtle.
and he wants to get something. And so, but they have a stream that goes through their property, just cleared all the bank.
I'm surprised
Yeah,
that got approved. I wonder if we,
Probably not.
not,
it's now,
unless it's agricultural. If it
Yeah,
has been
farmers
agricultural.
get a lot of,
could
A
be.
lot of
It has
leeway.
been agricultural.
That's why I was asking
Yeah.
about the property on Old Stockbridge Road, of the agricultural nature of
But
that.
new agriculture,
Yeah.
it's not, it's existing.
Yeah, but they, I don't know whether they ever used that stream to
For the top farm.
irrigate or at
don't
Taft
know, but
Farm.
that-
I don't
that
know.
might be an
probably was put
information.
in to dry up an area at one time.
It's a pretty significant stream. It has, it's been scourged and, they're,
Straight line.
What do you mean, a straight line?
no, not necessarily.
We're talking about Great Barrington here?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, it was just interesting,
Yeah, I would guess it's
To
an
me.
exemption for ag.
Can I ask about the Notice of Wetland Protection Act, the file number, and it's from the Native Habitat Restoration?
Yep,
of the
coming up for our next meeting.
Well, that's not till the next meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
So is there an NOI that goes with it?
Yes, there is. And I had so much to do. How many phone calls? What are you doing? And everything else that I didn't get to this, to put it on the agenda. It's, oops, this isn't it. Now, this is Craig and Maury. Oops, this isn't the envelope that I wanted.
Is that a request or is that an NOI?
It's an NOI.
Determination.
This is the Dudley Road. It's a different one. She brought in extra copies. It may be at home.
Is this for the,
It's for Campusa Brook.
no, I think it's for the Stockbridge Pool for the hard chestnuts.
Or the Bullard Woods? It may be Bullard Woods.
I didn't get a chance to look at it.
Well, it's either the water chestnuts or boardwoods.
For the Stockbridge
Did you
Bowl
have this, or where
Association.
did this come from?
You're right, it's for the Stockbridge Bowl Association. But anyway, so that'll be on our next agenda. Usually I usually try and put on the upcoming business, what we've got down in the pipeline.
And we have the NOI for it.
Yes, but I did not have a chance to do that.
Now that I can get into the office, I can look for it.
I don't think
Just
it's
ask.
here right now.
Don't think what?
I don't think it's here right now. It may be home on the table. I thought it was that envelope, but it wasn't.
After the elections, some things they'll be official. You, after the next election, will be jumped up a notch.
Well, it's gotta be a vote.
Yeah, after the next election.
Don't worry, we'll all vote for you.
You're on now. We can even vote now.
Don't you worry.
That's what I'm worried about.
If I have to, I'll give money to the local election officials.
Put it on a free lunch.
Under $50, I did check.
That's right. $49.99.
Hey, may I ask for a quick synopsis I apologize for not knowing what the biggest difference is between where we are now and what this brings to the table?
Buffer zone.
So the buffer zone of
More-
200 feet now, is that
Under-
correct?
No, under the Wetlands Protection Act, buffer zone really is not protected.
Okay,
It's bad.
Only if there's something that actually does some damage, then you can go into it.
Yeah, but this adds additional protection for the buffer zone and a lot of the legal stuff that the attorney added.
excuse me,
The attorney added just a lot of
legalese?
legalese that wasn't with us originally.
It's interesting because Mark Stinson told me one time, he said, whenever Stockbridge has a project that affects the buffer zone, I don't worry about it because I know you guys will protect it.
And that will protect it even more.
And so it's, we do it under our wetlands bylaw for the most part. And also one of the other things that we can't protect under the Wetlands Protection Act is the vernal pool.
We can't?
Not, but it's,
No,
But we were so concerned when we saw one, I thought.
Above a certain size.
10,000 square feet.
That's huge.
No, it goes by acre foot of water. Not size, that way.
but it's in our,
Isn't it?
it's in our bylaw.
But it is in the town bylaw that
Bylaw.
the vernal pool is a protectable resource.
Yeah.
And we do have, there's no buffer in the Wetlands Protection Act. There's no buffer to a vernal pool.
Okay.
So you could,
Lawn right up next to it.
yeah, do something right up next to it. But our wetlands bylaw gives us more protection for the vernal pool.
Okay.
A big deal.
Yeah.
Environmentally.
Right.
Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Do I hear a
Second
second?
that. Aye.
Favor.
Aye.
What time is it? 8:40?
40.